So without further ado, I'm going to invite Hashila Goonetilleke up here from PCL. For those who are not from this market, PCL Construction is one of the premier builders in Canada. Been around for a long time, done amazing things, and Hash has a presentation for us. Take it away.
Thank you, Abby. So the presentation today is going to be on planning mega projects with cmBuilder. Okay, so quick introduction, quick agenda for today. Go through a couple introductions of myself and PCL, and kind of look at where cmBuilder plays a role at PCL currently. We're going to kind of dive into a specific project that we did about 6 or 8 months ago, but as a case study, kind of look at why we decided to choose cmBuilder for that project as the 4D tool, what we did, some of the tools in Builder that made that job easy, and close it off with a bit of the feedback that we got as well. A little bit about myself. So my name is Hashila Goonetilleke. My role is Integrated Construction Technology Lead, bit of a handful at PCL Construction. I've been with PCL for just over 2 years. Part of that role is implementing technology on projects, things like cmBuilder, things like other, Revisto, other tools that we can use that'll support the team. Most of the time, the team is looking for value. Prior to that, I worked for a little company here in Vancouver named CAD Makers for about 5 years. So that was the beginning of my construction career. In fact, I can remember probably when Javi called me back to give me that job. I had zero construction experience and I didn't use the fancy 3D software they were using, but he called me back and said, yeah, we'll give you a shot, and I really appreciate it. And I said, oh yeah, I'll take that shot. PCL Construction, so PCL, largest general contractor in Canada, founded in 1906. It's a 100% employee-owned company. More than 10,000 hourly tradespeople, maybe over 700 projects at any one time, ranging from anything between 20,000 to 2 billion, and a construction volume of about 10 billion annually. We're based in Canada. We serve the United States and Australia, and projects from residential, commercial, infrastructure, and industrial projects as well. A few local projects that if you're touring around Vancouver around now, we've got the post that we recently completed, the Exchange building that we completed back in 2018, and the New St. Paul's Hospital that we are currently working on. So PCL is no stranger to mega projects. We've got quite a lot around the country, from hospitals, wastewater treatment plants, battery plants, and so on. And different districts around the country, the United States, are all using Builder to different levels. Here at the BC region, we definitely see it being a huge player in the pursuit, recently giving us an advantage in the E1 Moly battery plant pursuit. I'm going to dive into the B2D2 project in detail, but that was in pre-construction. And the North Shore wastewater treatment plant, we've also been using it in the construction phase. Now that's probably the one where I want to start to integrate cmBuilder more and more. But the tool is in the hands of the field teams, and they're able to, use it for small scenarios. So, for example, they're trying to plan out a very technical crane lift. They can kind of use that tool to sort of start simulating that. They've got a bunch of groundworks that are going to impact the neighboring buildings and the side streets. and then they kind of took it to themselves to start creating that plan and communicating it to the client. So more and more, I do want to start leading our teams to start using cmBuilder in that construction phase, and we kind of see it used in sort of small scale, not trying to do full-fledged 4D, but something just more narrow, more complex, and kind of giving the team that tool. So cmBuilder at PCL, I'm going to repeat a lot of the same things that we've kind of heard over the course of today, but primarily, it's a massive communication tool. I would say, generally speaking, construction in itself is like just majority communication. You're communicating at so many different levels between so many different people, designers, trades, clients, so this tool is just, that much more powerful when we have that visual to go with what we're trying to communicate. I had a PM come to me and say, Hash, what kind of software should we use? I'm going into these client meetings and consultants, they're all nodding their heads, but then the week after they seem like they didn't understand what we're doing. I was like, this builder could be the tool. Like, just go in there, put together 3-4 slides, just have something in the back so that they can follow along what you're going to be doing in the coming weeks. It doesn't have to be too complicated. Simplified 4D planning, and that's another really important factor. The simplification. We've got teams now just running with it. I gave the tool to one of our Denver superintendents. He said, hey, I heard something about cmBuilder. Can I get access to your license? I said, sure, go for it. I gave him an hour tutorial. He jumped on, I said, okay, show him, here's how you drop some resources. Here's how you do the excavation. Kind of forgot about it. Came back a month later. Hey, how's that going? And he's gone full-fledged like animations and cranes moving and concrete pump trucks doing stuff, and I'm like, whoa! He's really taking it to a whole next level. So just that's kind of we kind of heard that many times about just sort of how easy it is to sort of jump on board. A couple things I definitely hear from our team members: an added dimension to see risk. Right? We start every time somebody new sees this, like when you're showing a visual, I feel like everybody has their own expertise and they just dive straight into, hey, wait, what's happening here? The safety guy's like, hey, what's happening over there? So people just keep bringing up stuff, right? When you show it to a new person and they might be, maybe they're the steel guy, they're gonna be like, hey, how am I getting in here? Like, what's happening here? So they all start to kind of focus on their expertise. But that's kind of that's the nice part, because you can just share the link, right? They have access to it. So that's a huge component as well. Obviously, refining sequence, helping with schedules, validating our construction methodologies, and really the big one to me is a simple tool in the hands of the field teams, and I think we've heard that a few times as well. So the next part, I'm just going to really dive into this project that we did, I think 8-10 months back. We had a pre-construction scope where the team had already worked on the plans, but they were getting ready to send this, close this out, send it to the client. Here's what we're detailing, and they said, hey, I think we should really do a 4D. So he said, we only have about 6 weeks. Here's the due date. Can you guys put something together? So we really had to think, like, he said the team had already sort of started down a different path. And I said, well, how about let's use cmBuilder for this. And a couple of reasons that really sort of made that decision for us. Simplicity. We didn't really have the resources to do this. We had a co-op student that could maybe jump on this. So I said, like, it's only gonna take him a day to figure this out. Like, there you go, right? We don't need to train him with 3 months of some complicated program. This project particularly, though, very complex excavation, and we'll see that in some of the slides and images. And so cmBuilder's excavation tool really kind of knew, okay, knowing kind of a little bit of the details, I thought I couldn't see another tool that was going to kind of do that excavation like I wanted it to. And the resource library as well, because like, how are we getting into these tight spaces, right? Like, what's in there? How are we moving things out? How are we installing things? But lastly, the dynamic slides. So I didn't know what to call them, but I told the PM, I said, look, I don't think you're going to get a typical video like you might have seen in the past where you see like nice animations kind of going up. And he's like, what am I going to get? You get a link and you're going to click through these slides, but you can move inside and you can really look in. And they came back and said, yeah, that's what we want. They wanted to see the slides. They wanted to move around in the slides. And I said, if you're okay with that, then we'll go with cmBuilder, because that was, I just didn't want them to be like, hey, wait, what's this link business, you know? So we're gonna try something a little bit adventurous. It was a large project, and I didn't know if cmBuilder could even handle the extents, because we were really gonna detail it out. Now in pursuits, we'll do something high level, we'll do something kind of like a monthly flip book type thing, here's high level, but in this, it was a fairly complicated construction sequence that we really wanted to dive into every step of the sequence. So we had to import something like over 700 construction tasks from the schedule. When you add start and finish dates to that, it ends up to be like, 1,400 milestones. And I was thinking, you know what, let's be on the safe side, let's split it up into 4 different scenarios. And that's kind of what we did. So on the leftmost image there, you've got sort of this early works piece happening. Then they're building out this dumper. And then on this side, so this is the dumper side, and then this is the berth side. They've got to do all this groundwork and then build this berth for the ships. So going into it, first task was to see if we can try to manage to bring in all these schedule items. Obviously, I think I gave feedback to cmBuilder. Obviously, I want to see some improvements, right? Like we struggled a little bit, but definitely it's still, we were still successful. So we imported all 700, over 700 tasks, and then just a couple things. So like multiple times we walked through cmBuilder and the schedule together with our scheduler, with our superintendent, flush things out. They'd send us updates, and so you might not be able to see that slide that well, but even tools like just importing a new schedule, updating it was really helpful. It kept all the links, things did move around, but the milestones stayed together. And another hidden secret, sometimes not everybody's aware of, is this sort of sequence viewer. Kind of tells you what's being scheduled, what's coming up, what's in the past. Kind of giving us a few tools to kind of manage that, because one of these scenarios could have anything up to 200 to 300 milestones that we were sort of linking them all to. So complex construction sequence. So this project here, one main aspect to this project is that this whole facility is operational. So all these train tracks, they wanted to maintain the operation. So part of it is, and what they were trying to do is they're trying to replace this dumper, and there's a tunnel that's underneath as well. So the first part of the project was to expose this tunnel and build these bridges so that then they can start having their trains operate again. I mean, we're looking at a client that probably, I can't remember, but it was insane what their hourly output is. I think it was like, I don't know, it was like 7 million an hour or something ridiculous. Like, so we couldn't, we had no choice but to make sure we communicated that we weren't going to affect their operation. So, this played a huge deal for us as well in terms of planning where our equipment are, how everything is going to sort of fall in place. On the marine side as well, I mean, it's not as complex, but it's large, and there's at least 20 major activities happening at any one time. You've got like, stone column works on this side. You've got stone columns on the mainland side. You've got sheet piles that are being driven in all around. You've got this whole platform that's being built. While things are being excavated, while things are being demoed as well. So lots of activities, lots of large pieces of equipment all working together. And again, I think when we looked at the schedule and we thought, hey, how is this happening when you haven't backfilled yet? Or, hey, are you going to be doing this across all the phases, or are you just doing it at one phase at a time? So lots of questions that just continually help the team refine that schedule. We've heard again, lots of people here, as-built information. So this side particularly, it's an existing facility. You've got the existing earth system that was going to be completely demoed. You've got the existing dumper that's going to be demoed, but the other aspects of the building are going to be still there. And we've got lots of trains and train tracks as well that are 100% operational. For the most part, they were shut down maybe one track here or there, but then we have to do the work and open it back. So as-built and point cloud information were absolutely critical. The tolerances on the project were, I would say, maybe an inch when we get very close to the work around here. I think obviously I would like to see us, the drone deploy team. I think there's some integrations happening that would have been incredible, just to get that information. Hopefully it just lands right exactly where I wanted it. But for us, we did all the terrestrial scans. We looked at multiple ways of kind of bringing that into a mesh. We used a few tools, but at the end of the day, we kind of said, you know what, let's just model everything in Revit. Just the shapes are simpler, just keep it light, just focus on just what's important to us, and that's what you did. That's what we did. And so anything, any of this sort of white geometry, that's all the existing elements here. So just to really focus on something like this here, well, they're starting this excavation. This track is open now. This track is open. This track is closed because that's where they're working. That's open. That's the existing tunnel that's starting to be exposed. So you can start to see just how tight they are. In fact, when we did the excavation on the cmBuilder study, we realized this building wasn't even going to be supported anymore, And that was evident, I could see that, but I liked it when the super came and goes, hey, there should be a huge footing there too. That must be there. But I wasn't thinking that because I've only modeled what we scanned. But he comes in and he sees stuff that doesn't even exist, right? Not even here, right? He's like, I'm like, oh yeah, so what do we do with that, right? So really, that's really the importance of that tool. You give it to the hands of the experts, and they're just starting to see, things that I don't see. And then other parts were, one PM was like, well, that soil's not going to hold. He goes, most likely they backfill that with just junk back in the 60s, so it's just rubbish and it's all going to collapse, So it's just stuff that I wouldn't even be thinking about, but he's got this knowledge because he's worked, and this isn't existing, so they must have done this back in the 60s or 50s or whenever, right? So it's not just deep, sound, underground soil that's very sturdy, right? So we kind of talked a little bit about the complex excavation, and you could kind of see what this starts to look like. Well, this is kind of coming back with the backfill and starting to build out the new tunnel and the features. But this part here, you'll see all the slopes, the train lines, very close to existing. They were talking about lock blocks and other systems to kind of get away from the slopes, perhaps. So really just, powerful tool for our team members. And again, excavation tech resources. So we've got, equipment in those excavated zones. I think this piece of equipment was either doing screw piles or jet grouting, one or the other. And we were trying to figure out what's going to fit there. What can we use in that, this tight space? How do we get it in here? We've got these whaler struts that are being installed. That's the sheet pile supporting the soil on this side. So, I mean, there's no way we could have, I won't say no way, but 2D, that's just difficult, right? And so the views, the understanding that this provides was really, really valuable, and you're going to see that in the superintendent's feedback at the very end as well. Even on the marine, there's the berth 2 side. The way the team had decided was to kind of lock out with the sheet piles certain regions, and then they could lock all the water from coming in and then start and then go to the next zone. But again, there's a lot of existing anchor rods and other things buried in here because it's a berth, right? So there's bits and pieces that they had in their task to either, remove or discard, right? So very complicated, not just construction, but demolition as well. Collaboration piece. So this, we really started to get into a bit of a groove where we could actually make some comments. I don't know if I could even read this, but possible lock blocks or cut slope to retain the soil next to the track, that's from the PM. So just putting in comments, and that's probably right here where the name is, and kind of working. At first I thought it was going to be too much, so I said, look, I'll just send you a PDF with some stuff. He goes, no, just do it here, and we'll try. And he did, right? And he started responding to my comments as well. So really tried, and again, using the multiplayer mode, like we both kind of, he showed me things, I showed him things. And cmBuilder really supports in-person and virtual meetings too. There are a couple of times when the team was on site and we were still at head office, but we can kind of go through, this, like we don't, it's pretty easy to go slide by slide. Unlimited access is really powerful, I think. Just sharing with, the trades, the sub-trades, the people with the knowledge, I'd say one of the biggest bottlenecks sometimes is, well, my IT wouldn't let me install this or whatnot, right? So this is really simplifies that piece. Presentation, another deliverable. So final sort of output. We created a video. Now cmBuilder has its own video export, but back then it didn't quite have the dates and all that fancy stuff. So we did have to export it out, sort of create it. We kind of created our own tags. But really good to see that, cmBuilder then, brought in features that we really needed. And, I know they're listening to us and listening to others with probably similar feedback. The shareable links, we shared all the public links with the client when we proposed this, that they can go in there and, feel free to go step by step. We did both flipbooks and slide decks. So the flipbook was kind of month to month, appreciate it. And the slide deck was literally every single slide. That was about, I don't know, maybe 1,000 slides. And I thought it was going to be too much, but the best feedback was this, because when the client looked at our construction plan, like what my PM said was they went through every single slide with every single schedule item. So I was thinking, are you sure? It seems extensive, but sure. And then we did things like site plans and plot plans and things like that for the team as well. And then, finally, just to finish it off, the superintendent that, he's probably had 30 years of experience here in Canada, in Africa, and in, I believe, the UK. And it's his first time using cmBuilder. So my question for him was, hey, can cmBuilder be used to help refine cost, time, and safety on a project? And he said, yes, it certainly can both. It has been very helpful for us to prove out spatial relationships, resourcing, sequencing, which led directly into cost, time, and safety. And my other question for him was, could cmBuilder be used to further understand risk during construction? And he said, a well-built P6 schedule is fundamental, but cmBuilder then builds on it and embellishes it. The visualizations help us understand everything, including risks. It showed us soft spots. It guided us to make tweaks and amendments, especially in areas where we were being overly aggressive or optimistic. And I really like that last part. I think we kind of tend to do that, right? We do sometimes try to be overly optimistic, try to get the schedule to fit, you know, and whatnot. So, and I think he could see that as well in when we were planning and was sitting together and going through each slide. So that was it. Yeah, I think.
Oh, sorry.
If you have any questions,
That's great. Are there any questions from the crowd? Anyone got a question?
The boat model, how did you know that? Did you actually get a model imported into like that tank?
No, we had a model from the design team for that. So they did a pretty good job, I think. But the reality is, I think some of the boat and the ship model actually came from either Katia or like somewhere else, because I could see the part numbers and it was like, you know, so it was kind of good that Builder allowed us to, we had ways to bring it in, I think through Navisworks and into here, but we had everything from models from either SolidWorks or Katia, from Revit, and then we actually modeled quite a bit too, like all the stone column piles and things that you see, like we kind of went to the extent to model those because the superintendent was like, I need them to understand how many there is, because they think this is going to be fast and it's not. There's thousands of these things, right? So like really just like highlight how many there are, and so you know we model that, and the trains as well. From the train tracks, we'd like kind of get that into the model.
Were the tides a concern?
Tides?
Yeah.
No, but there's certain rules. I think there was one part of the project on the berth side that they couldn't start for so long. And I'm not sure what kind of like rules were governing that exactly. So there might be some sort of external forces about what was allowed. I mean, it could even be like sea life or creatures. I couldn't remember, but there was something that kind of stopped us from doing some work. And so, and the team's thinking about that because the timeline is still trying to keep this thing to, I think, about 2.5 years, right? Like really accelerated construction. And then you're waiting to start that, but you're not allowed to, and then it's trying to get out of there.
Any other questions?
We're
all friends now. We're all friends.
You mentioned in the beginning that with these high milestone projects that you had some limitations with cmBuilder. Can you elaborate on that and what those limitations were and how you overcame them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one, it probably crashed on us like multiple times, you know. I said, hey, Pedro, what's going on? I'm trying to import my entire thing, it's not working. He said, okay, how about you start with like keeping it to like 300 at a time first? So, okay, so, you know, kind of knew like couldn't just import like the entire thing. You can mass select, but you still have to kind of go through one by one, like selecting what you wanted from an entire schedule, right? So, at one point, I think we kind of pushed it out to Excel, filtered exactly what we needed because we could use the codes and kind of knew which activity code we were going to import, kind of do that piece, and then come in. So, you know, in terms of management, it is a little bit of work managing that many milestones, but. So I, you know, hopefully I want to see that a bit more like as a robust feature, but it's not impossible. So we definitely got to the end, but you definitely had to, you know, kind of push a little bit at the beginning with that.
We've dealt with projects that have been about 200, 250 milestone mark, and it seems like we're having some saving issues where we would do resource on a certain milestone, and then the next day we come back, the milestone was only going to be there.
I remember talking to Shane about it, but like anything that was happening on the same day, they kind of get reordered a little bit, and so I came back the next day, I go, oh, going on, they kind of all jumbled up. So definitely, I think we were kind of learning. I think the cmBuilder team was learning as well at the time. So I mean, it's really great to see like a lot, like they listened to it, they kind of got that resolved. But there was things like that, but not so much about safety.
Okay, let's wrap it there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.